What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Snobs interviews, and today I am joined by Jeff Dwoskin from the Jeff Dwoskin Show. He's a comedian, he's a social media guru, and I'm very excited to have him here and talk to him about more about. Actually, I want to talk to him about everything. I'm very intrigued about the comedian side too. That's always been something that's been pretty thrilling to me. But thank you for being on the show today, Jeff.
Oh my God! Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Well, Jeff, how long have you been a comedian for?
Great question. Just over 18 years professionally.
That's fantastic. In life on the road, things like that. I'm very fortunate to be friendly with a bunch of comedians. So I love the lifestyle that they seem to lead. So I always found it very intriguing. How do you tell me more about it? Tell me more.
In Michigan, when I was starting to do stand-up, there was thankfully tons of clubs around. I didn't travel much farther than like Ohio or Canada. For those of you who aren't familiar with Michigan or Detroit, Canada's kind of like just going to any city. Well, back then it was before 9/11. So we would go to Canada. There'd be great clubs there. Michigan had a ton of clubs. And so it was mostly kind of that scene that I would hit growing up. I started coming up in comedy. I started a little later. I was married. I had a kid. So it was a little harder for me just to kind of pack up and travel all over the country. But I did go all in this area. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome, though. And going from comedy, you've been in comedy for 18 years, and now you have a really cool podcast, the Jeff Dwoskin Show, and you are a social media guru. So how has that helped you? I'm sure immensely, but I want to see how you got getting into social media in the beginning, especially as a comedian. How did you utilize that?
Sure. In the beginning, I was always on Facebook, and I had a small kind of Twitter thing, but mostly just on Facebook, because it would be, you're walking around and everyone's like, "Oh, you're so funny. Read your posts," whatever. But then somebody kind of gave me some advice. They're like, you have to go to Twitter. And I'm like, Twitter? Yeah. You have to go on Twitter, because Twitter is where you're going to get noticed. If you're going to get noticed, that's where newspapers look, everything, any conversations you see or articles, generally they're pulling stuff from Twitter. So I just sort of started focusing on Twitter and kind of building up my following there. And over time kind of amassed a little bit. I'm not like, I'm not a Kardashian. I don't have a million, but I have, I've got like over 40,000 followers, and I'm verified. And, so it kind of worked out. As I was tweeting, I'd end up in BuzzFeed. I'd end up in this magazine. I'd end up on Good Morning America, the Today Show. They said all these people, all these different newscasts that I find, reading my tweets and all that kind of stuff. And because I was entering the conversation, I was just becoming active and being part of what people were talking about. And because I was a comedian, I was able to, write things well. Because really, if you're going to read something online, especially when it was only 140 characters, it's got to be pretty concise and quick and easy to read. It's got to be readable. A lot of things don't translate necessarily if I just read it to you. Sometimes you have to see the image they put with it or something like that. So I just kind of focused on that and kind of build everything up that way. I got into hashtags, hashtag gaming, which is kind of a different thread, but as part of this, and that's where I kind of built a kind of a digital community on Twitter, and kind of a little app that I built, and work with companies sometimes to help them on Twitter as well, as just part of what we've learned and helping others. So, yeah.
Oh, very cool. And that's hashtag Stampede, correct?
Hashtag Roundup on Twitter is sort of our consumer day-to-day thing. Hashtag Stampede is a technology that we built that works on Reddit and Twitter that helps when brands are engaging with people. It can automatically send them tweets to microsites so that they can convert those anonymous people on Twitter or Reddit to opt-ins or known, or get them to do some kind of call to action or make a purchase or something like that.
Nice. Okay, so very cool. I noticed that's the entrepreneurial side and really getting into it. And that's awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. And it's great that you utilize it that way, especially for your career. And right now, how long have you been doing the podcast? Might ask.
I just started the podcast in May, late May. I mean, I first wanted to in 2017, but I procrastinated. If that encourages anyone out there thinking about it, I finally did it after 3 years. But yeah, and with the stand-up comedian stuff kind of not really happening as much anymore with the COVID shutdowns, I sort of just turned it to podcasting and sort of as a creative outlet. And so that's how I came up with, the Jeff Dwoskin Show. And I talk to comedians and actors and, just people that I find interesting with hopes that others find it interesting too. And, just let them tell their stories, which I find fascinating. So.
Yeah, that's great. And I've listened to a few episodes and I didn't realize that it started in May. It's you very natural when you talk. So like it feels like you've been doing this a lot longer, if you will. I mean that as a compliment.
Well, thank you.
I mean, yeah,
it's the years and years of being on stage and just being comfortable, kind of going for it. So,
yeah, you can talk to a club full of people. I'm sure it definitely helps to be able to just be one-on-one, and it's probably a nice reprieve a bit sometimes too. I bet, just to be able to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how so going through this, like wow, I mean you've got kind of your hands everywhere doing things, and that's amazing. So like how do you keep it together? How do you keep this? It sounds like a really busy life, especially with having a family and such.
Well, I do my interviews at a certain time of the day. I edit at night. I record the episodes on the weekend, and then I do everything else during the normal 40-hour week that normal people would do. Some weeks are easier than others, and so it's just kind of like, they're all kind of passion projects. If you love what you're doing, it's not really work. So it's like, it's just a matter of just doing it. And, Jerry, my with the hashtag Roundup stuff, my wife and I work on that. She helps kind of manage the app and the community. And so there's that. And then lately the podcast is my thing. And she's always like, "You're talking about the podcast again?" So it's like, well, it's always you and the podcast, it's like, guess who I just got as a guest, all that kind of fun stuff. So, but she's kind of enjoyed, like when I interviewed Larry Hankin, Mr. Heckles from Friends, right? And so my wife is like an avid Friends, like she's obsessed. Like we have to watch Friends every night before we go to bed, right? And so she just loves. So she's like, "You're interviewing Mr. Heckles?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so he was really cool. After the interview, he called me, and then I put her on the phone with him, and she totally fangirled and kind of just lost it a little bit. And like he did a little bit with her, and it was fun. He was really cool, but that was extra fun for her. So, just to kind of meet someone from that world, I mean, that's, for us, it's every day. We're talking to people all the time, It's all cool.
It is though, and it's definitely fun when you're there and you can witness something like that, for sure, and be like, "Oh yeah, this is what they do." This is they're bringing smiles to people's faces all the time, just like you. So, I mean, it works out well. And so, how have you starting this in May and kind of going through COVID and everything? This whole quarantine apocalypse thing we got going on. What have you learned in those months of doing it? Like maybe, kind of change things up or like, I know everybody kind of takes a little time to find their footing. I'm going on a year doing this podcast next week. So,
oh wow, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But like, I've found like, you find a different voice as you go along, so how's that been working out for you? Like, is there certain ways you've been going about it?
Yeah, I tend to, and I shouldn't do this, but I tend not to even listen to the older episodes. So it's like, I'm always carrying on with the idea of what I did. I know I have like certain things. I have like certain pieces that I put together. So like when I'm putting together an episode, I I write out who's going to be the sponsor, who's going to be this, what's the intro, and then what episode number is it, so I don't say the wrong episode. I always had this fear I'm going to be welcome to episode 10, and it's like episode 30. I mean, it's like we have to then go back and re-edit it. And like just all those kind of things. And then I try to always tie in a kind of a hashtag from hashtag roundup that's kind of relevant to either something I ramble on or something that came up during the interview, kind of find something that kind of ties to it. Then I read tweets from that hashtag on the show. So there's like certain pieces of the show that I have. And then I've been playing with the idea of like adding in shorter bits, like where I call a friend and do this thing, and maybe it's just a 2-minute thing, then I drop in, or something like that. So I'm kind of playing with it because you can kind of introduce something and then kind of, I do a thing called Crossing the Streams with a couple of friends of mine where we talk about shows that we have watched that we stream, right? And so streaming recommendations. So we've done a couple episodes of that. And then I was like, maybe we should do like a 3-minute version of that. Then I could plop it into a bunch of different episodes versus just waiting every 6 weeks to do one, and it's not as relevant and all that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of things that I'm toying with to kind of do that. And in the beginning, I would like record someone, and then I would actually do 2 interviews with them at once because I didn't realize how quickly I was going to get people on the show. I've got like a backlog of interviews. Like I could do nothing but produce episodes right now, and I'd be good through the end of the year. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I would have them do like 2 episodes, and then the second one would be, oh my God, how long has it been since you were here? You know what I mean? Because it would be like I'd release them like 6 weeks apart or something, and so those things now I'm not doing anymore because I don't. God knows when I could even get the second one out, but just taking each one at a time. But yeah, it is fun. It definitely more comfortable episode 21 than the first episode. I'm afraid to even listen to the first episode. I felt comfortable doing it, but I don't know that, what was in my head or anything like that. It was the first time. I did the first 3 episodes all at once because somebody told me that to be on Apple, you had to have 3 episodes. So I wanted to be on Apple right away because I didn't feel you could do a podcast and say you're not on Apple, So I did that. That was my plan, whether it was real or not. That's what I did. So.
I think that was my biggest going into it. Like we weren't on Apple for like the first 6 months.
What?
Yeah, I know. I've been doing this for a long time with other podcasts and things like that. But Apple Podcast is so popular, and I didn't even think about it. Just because I was so like, got it just content driven, and I was doing everything through the site. And I was on, a bunch of the other platforms, and Apple kind of like went away. I didn't even think about it. So I had like 50 episodes to drop by the time we got there.
Oh man.
It's just like boom. And then I was like, oh god. I was like, no, I have no setting on Apple whatsoever. No any idea who I am there. So
I'm not sure anyone knows who I am there either, but it was just important for me to be able to say I was there. Same thing with like Amazon Music now as they opened up. So it was just like, just get there. It's just more like so you can say it. I don't know. I don't know where people are listening from, to be honest. I'm just thankful when they do. And sometimes I just direct them right to the site. That's the problem. That's the only negative with podcasting. You don't know where to focus people. And when you tell them to go a million different places, I'm on Apple, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on Good Pods, I'm on this, I'm on that, I'm on this. It's like, they're like, I think you get deer in the headlights. It would just be easier just to go one place. You know what I mean? Like that's, I think the hard part. Cause then they're like, if they're not into podcasting yet, they don't know what to do. Now they have to make a decision.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I worried about that too myself because I'm on YouTube, I'm on all different platforms now, and I'm just like, hey, we're here. And social media, you only get a certain amount of characters to put it out there. So I started asking like accomplished podcasters that have been doing this for years, and I was just like, so what do you do? Where do you direct them? And they said the site. They said, don't mention anything else. Just say you have a podcast, you have videos, go to my site. And then
that's right. That's what I do. I send them to like the Libsyn page where they just listen. They can just play right through. So very cool.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I'm right. I was right there with you. Like I was. So yeah, I put all the links right up there, and it was just like wherever you want to listen to, go right ahead. But they're all in the site.
I've started just focusing them in one spot, and then I figure, you know what, you can figure out where the other places are. You know, here's Apple. But like my website, jeffisfunny.com, which is like the website for the podcast, it just links to everything. You can listen to them right there, you know, just hit play and listen. So that's the easiest thing. But you want them to subscribe too, right? And then it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
It really is. It gets you every time. But I mean, you do have a great site though. That's where I go and I listen to some of your shows. So, yeah, you have a very nice layout for your site. So, man, you really do know this social media thing.
I just got lucky. I just get lucky, you know. I just
So what introduced you? Like, I know you said you started with Facebook, and then with the app. Like, when did you figure out like, oh, hashtags is where it's at?
Well, the mental jump I made was I was on Twitter and I found that it was a hashtag that I just stumbled on and I just started playing it. It was like, make a movie more Jewish or something like that. I'm Jewish. It's okay. And, and so I just started playing. I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then I kind of realized that there were people that did these a little bit here and there. And Comedy Central at the time had a show called At Midnight, and they would do hashtag challenges, and those were very popular. And so we started to kind of organize a community that on Twitter and kind of do things more frequently, because the awesome thing about a hashtag, an example of a hashtag would be hashtag lose an argument in 4 words, or hashtag songs that describe 2020, you know, anything like that. The idea is that we call them call and response. So it's when you read it, it's the premise of what you're going to need to talk about. And I found that the reason people stay off Twitter or any platform is they don't know what to talk about, right? So if you can join in a conversation that says, this is what we're talking about right now, use this hashtag and just put your own thing in, put as many as you want in, you know, just keep tweeting. And then the cool thing about using hashtags in that way, anything trending or kind of viral at the moment, is when people search, they search on the hashtag. So if you only have 10 followers and I've got 1,000 followers and somebody else has whatever, but we don't even follow each other, but we're using the same hashtag in the same time frame, when I click on it, I'm going to see you. You're going to see me. You'll retweet me. I'll retweet you. We can follow each other. Oh, this guy's funny. Boom, 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 boom. So you start to build up this whole community and you get to meet new people. And then you find, oh, these people do this. This is what they do. They're constantly putting out this type of material. And so, you know, it's just a good way to kind of find other people that like doing on Twitter what you do, like to be funny and have fun, and can focus on a particular conversation. You know, it's less broad than a hashtag The Walking Dead or hashtag Grammys or something like that, right? And so that way, you know, with those type of things, you have to actually be watching or listening to that show to tweet along, because people are talking about something very specific that they're watching at that time. These type of things usually call on life experiences, just things that you have at your you know, at the tip of your tongue. I run a game on Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern, called hash fake facts. And so it's basically just fake facts that people come up with, you know. And so like, it was like a couple weeks ago, we did fake Muppet facts, and then we did fake dental hygiene facts, you know, like anything like that. We've been doing it for like 5 years. And so it's a ton of fun to kind of get people just to tweet ridiculousness, you know. I mean, there's nothing serious about it, you know. So that's the whole idea. Now, I have like a digital background, and I'm sorry, this thing keeps dinging. Can you hear that?
No, it's not showing up on that.
Okay, good. So what I found is when I have this digital background, and so I built an app because I was tired of like missing out on the games myself. I'd be in the real world and not always on Twitter, right? So I built an app called Hashtag Roundup as well, and it ties in with the @ Roundup. And just, you know, just anyone listening who wants to play along, the app is free. You can follow @ Roundup. It's Google and iOS, you know, so you can play and you get a push notification to your phone when the game starts, right? So it says, hey, this hashtag is starting right now. And then you click on it, you can go to the app, you can copy the hashtag, jump over to Twitter, and then just start tweeting. And then you're part of it. And so, it's that. We do it like it depends on the day, but every 90 minutes or so throughout the day, over the 12, 15 hours, that kind of thing. Some people sleep, some people keep going, but whatever. And so, but it's a ton of fun. And, I've met tons of really cool people doing it, Twitter friends, but, you're kind of chatting, doing this thing, but it's a great way to just be involved, and a good way to kind of build up your own social profile and just kind of get to know other people and kind of use the platform. Because the reason people don't like being on any social platform is they don't get likes, or they don't get retweets, or whatever the version of that shares on Facebook, that kind of thing on Instagram. So this is just a great way, the way Twitter is structured, just to kind of make it work for you. And it takes time. It's not going to be your first tweet. You got to put some time in and you got to be kind to others. The more you give, the more you get. Most people are selfish. They think, oh, I'm tweeting gold. Why aren't people coming to me? It's like, you gotta kind of like and retweet other people, and then they come to you. Comics are the worst at that. You look at their timeline, it's all them, you know what I mean? So it's like, but I found like when you retweet others, that's part of what social media is sharing other people's things, not just having a billboard for yourself. If people like what you're doing, they'll find your stuff. And most people don't look at your timeline anyway, or your main page anyway. They see it in the feed, you know what I mean? So that's it. I mean, that's your 101 on how to be a social media guru. That's how I did. I started. Now it took me, years, I look back at the old tweets and I was like, I get nothing, but so it takes time, but if you put the time in, you can do it. Now, I'm horrible at Instagram, TikTok, and everything else. So don't get me going. I did get 300 views once on TikTok, so that was like a big deal in my family. Not, but that kind of thing. So, but you find I think people have a tendency to find a platform that works best for them. You know what I mean? So. Instagram's not my thing. I'm not the prettiest, so it's not like my. it's not good. It kind of works. Some certain days it works better than others. If I can get a good shot in, but that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great advice too. And then it's definitely something I need to start reworking and thinking about, because especially with Twitter. I started on Facebook with this, so like Twitter was always kind of in the back burner, but it's a smart thing. That's where everything's at.
Facebook to me, when I started comedy and I would do the open mics and I would go to the same club every week, Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, do the open mics. I'd bring people, you know what I mean? And one day, Mark Ridley pulls me aside and he says, Jeff, you got to stop bringing people, which is weird because I took it as a compliment, because normally they want you to bring people, you know what I mean? Because that's how they fill up the club. He's like, I need you to stop bringing people, because we need to see if you're funny in front of strangers. Okay. And so I stopped inviting people, and to me, that's how I feel about Facebook. Facebook is your friends and the people that you know. And honestly, I find that it kind of like if I post on Facebook, something negative about the president, not denouncing white supremacy or wear a mask or whatever, right? I'll get 100 tweets, or I'm sorry, 100 likes, and all these comments, and everyone's like, yeah, Jeff, this is amazing. We still got you back. If I write, hey, check out my latest podcast, chirp, chirp. It was a bird, but it was meant to be a cricket. I don't know how to make a cricket noise, but so I made a small bird. But it's like, so it's like, oh, it's so frustrating. Facebook to me is like just frustrating. Like now it's like people that I don't even want to talk to anymore. It's like you're posting things that you didn't invite me to, food I'm not interested in seeing, all this kind of stuff. So it's like Twitter is the opposite. It's people that don't give a shit that you just went on vacation. They don't want to see the picture of your kid that on their first day in first grade and fifth grade. pictures back to back. They don't want to see any of that. They just want it between the eyes. Speak the truth, tweet the truth, do your thing, and you're not being judged by, people who you're going to bump into at Kroger tomorrow, right? So to me, like, I thrive in that. To me, that's to me one of the benefits of Twitter. I don't mean anonymous people that are jerks and stuff like that, but I mean, there's something nice being able to talk to people that you don't really but don't know.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I mean?
definitely agree.
And so that to me is like, that's why I kind of moved away from Facebook. I kind of focus on Twitter. Facebook just frustrates the hell out of me. Like, seriously, like, I got 100 likes on something I posted yesterday. If I posted about, hey, I'm on the Scene Snobs, nothing. If I posted, hey, I'm really proud of this interview I just did, nothing. One like, I'll get one like from Jennifer Fishkind, who was very supportive. But because she knows, because she's doing the same thing. I mean, she's got her own little thing. And so it's, that to me is like, you got to find the right social media spots. So
absolutely, I agree with you on that. Facebook is just, it's there. You have to use everything, but I definitely enjoy, like you said, you get a lot more constructive criticism from Twitter. You meet a lot more people that are more like-minded, but again, you know them, but you don't know them, and kind of a more far-reaching span. So I definitely love that advice. But I wanted to ask, a lot of times, because we talk about movies a lot on this podcast and such, but we've been talking, one of the main themes is like what things are going to look like after COVID, and of course things are going to change a bit, but mostly like our movie theater is going to be different, the movie going experience, things like that. I want to talk to you. I want to get your feelings on, like, in your opinion on, like, how will comedy be different? Going to comedy clubs, things like that. Do you see it being changed from then on in? Can it go back to how it was?
I do. I'd rather talk about the movies, but like,
well, please do. I mean,
we can talk about both, but like, I think that with the comedy, excuse me, sorry, with the comedy, the one thing that I'm hopeful of everything, but the one thing that I remain a little discouraged on is the concept of being indoors with people. You know what I mean? If I'll go to a restaurant, but I'll eat outside, right? And so I don't know what's going to happen during the winter. And like clubs, even though, the thing that I read recently, and again, I don't need to read things, right? Is it like the people that get tested that got tested positive were 2 times more likely to have just eaten in a restaurant in the last 2 weeks. In a restaurant, right? So an indoor place, which you could say is like a comedy club, right? Or a movie theater. So it makes me nervous, even if you're 6 feet apart. If it's in the air and they say the air conditioning, I'm not trying to like be a conspiracy or anything. It's just this is like where I don't overbuy toilet paper or anything like that. I don't have it stocked up of canned goods, but like I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat. But that's the one thing that seems logically unknown still at this time. So it makes me nervous when these places reopen. Now I think it feels like less people are dying. It feels like, while it says, I don't know. It's hard to even know what to feel at this time. With the movie theater, I've got a similar feeling, but a different point of view on it. I was actually just talking to my wife about this morning. She's like, oh, there was an article like, will movie theaters ever be the same? And I'm like, you know what? I can't remember. I love going to a movie theater because nothing beats the big screen and the sound, right? You can't beat that. But you know what you can beat? Every single jerk that checks his phone during the damn movie and talks and starts texting and like, once that light's in your face, it's like, it's annoying. You can't not, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm thinking to myself, I can't remember the last time anyone was actually polite and actually just watched a movie in a theater. It's discouraging to me to go to a theater, not for the human experience, not for the actual experience of the movie. I think you need to see the movies that way. Sometimes, that's the way movies are meant to be seen. But it's just like, I would be happy if they're like one person at a time. Like, perfect. That would be amazing. I would pay extra. I'd pay quadruple to not have a bunch of jerks in there that just think the world circles them and they're on their phone and doing whatever while the movie's going on. You know what I mean? It's like, when was the last time you went to the movie where you weren't disrupted by somebody within 5 feet of you? You know, it's like, that's what gets.
And that's yeah, and I do appreciate that, and because we do have a movie theater open here at the Alamo Draft House, but it's like nobody's going. You know, you have maybe a couple of people each row. It's not even like full, so, and they don't allow. You know, it's 30% of a 100-seat theater. You know, so you got 30 people in there. You're spread out pretty far, so it works out pretty well. But yeah, I mean, I do miss. Like, I miss going to comedy clubs. I miss going to the movies, like, and not having to worry about, oh man, yeah, I have to wear a mask or I have to do this. And I'm all for wearing the mask and being safe and being, trying to protect others with doing it. But yeah, it's such a different world, and it's not even, the year's not even over yet.
No. I agree with everything you just said. I mean, there's nothing that beats those experiences. Even going to a restaurant, I feel bad. They're like, you can take your mask off when you sit down, but then the waiter has to come to you, right? And so it's like, them wearing the mask just protects us from them. It doesn't protect them from us. And so it's like, I always feel bad. I mean, when you eat, you got to take it off. But like, but the waiter can just stay away while you're eating. I just feel bad when they're there and you're having this back and forth, because in theory, you're potentially impacting their potential health. Then they're going table to table to table to table, then coming back to your table. And it's like, so I don't know what to think. I don't have the answers, but it's, but you have to live too. You know, you have to be as cautious as you can be cautious, but we have to live as well. So
absolutely. But I will say one thing that I really enjoy that has come through this is the return of drive-in movie theaters.
Yes. I haven't been to one, but they're in the area. I would love to go do that. I've never been to one. I don't think I've ever been to one.
Oh, you gotta go to a drive-in.
But it seems like it'd be amazing.
I mean, you get all of listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. You go to a drive-in movie theater, you get all of those distractions and more of what you just said. but
I feel like you're accepting that.
Yes. It's like going to watch a movie at a campgrounds or something. It just,
right. You get it. People are in cars. They're going to open the doors. Yeah, I get that. I think I would be less annoyed by that than the person on the phone in front of me, in the actual theater. So I get it. Yeah, I get it. That would be cool. All right. I'm going to make sure I got to check one of those out before they go away, before everything gets better and they go away.
Yeah, right. Oh, I hope not, but I hope they always stick around. But yeah, I get it. It's like that reserve setting that they'll have from now on, like, just in case this happens again, stick around.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's a thing for it. I mean, that's nice though, because you can sit in the car, you can chill. I think it's good. I think it's a great idea.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you being on the show. We always end the show with sort of a fun note, and a fun question. And mine to you is, since we're a movie site, I want to get your feelings on it. What are some of your remote dropper movies? Which means, like, if it's on TV, you drop the remote, you're watching it from where it is, no matter where you are, what it is, what time it is, whatever.
Sure. JFK is one of those movies.
I've never heard that choice before. That's such a good choice.
I love that. Of recent movies, the one that I can watch no matter what is, I'm blanking on the name of it, even though I love the one where Matt Damon goes to Mars.
Oh, The Martian. Yeah, that was a good one. The Martian.
That's another one. Like, when that was on, I would just stop and watch it. Like, that movie I just found fascinating. I can watch any of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll stop for. Love that movie. I'm trying to think, like, what's on. Those are like, I mean, honestly, like, most of them. There's few that I wouldn't stop. It's like, if like something's like classic, like Back to the Future, or anything that I haven't really seen in a while, I'll just stop. I'll put 5 minutes in that turns into the rest of the movie. You know what I mean? I consider that. I consider those moments like it's the universe saying, "Hey, here." You know what I mean? You didn't expect it. You didn't turn it on. Elf, Will Ferrell. Nice. I could watch that movie anytime. Yeah, I love all those movies. A Few Good Men. And I mean, there's so many.
Few Good Men is one for me. If that, I don't care if that's on, I'm stopping. Like if I have to go out and like somebody's like, you have to go do this, I'm like, but A Few Good Men's on. I mean, I'm sorry, I gotta finish
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that's if you're willing to give up your night out because a random movie came on that you happen to also have on DVD and could watch any moment, that's a really good movie.
I will say this, and not to call you out, but you did mention when we were talking about COVID, you said, listen, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything. And then your first choice was JFK.
That's true. That's true.
No, it was a great choice. JFK is a fantastic
It's just a
movie.
fascinating movie. It's just like, that was when Oliver Stone was at his heights. I mean, that was like that Platoon, all those are just great. They're just fascinating movies, I don't buy into it. Yeah.
And it's a nice long movie too. So like sometimes you just need that long movie to kind of keep you relaxed.
Absolutely. Oh, Godfather 1 or 2, I would sit and watch.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched the Godfather saga straight through?
Not only have I watched it straight through, remember when it came out on VHS in chronological order?
Yeah, it's the best part about it. Yeah, it's the best.
I watched that as soon as that came out. I was like, I'm sitting down. I don't want anybody to talk to me. I'm watching this straight through.
My wife and I did that. I think they were playing it. It was like probably years ago, but like where they were playing it on one of the stations, and it was like, or it was on demand somewhere, and you could just watch it. And it was like I think we took an entire Saturday.
Nice.
It's like you can't stop watching. It's so good. It's so good.
It is, and then you get to that third one, you're just like, man, why couldn't you be the same? You're like, I'll still watch you, but why couldn't you be the same?
I know. You didn't have a chance. I wonder if you watched it without the context of the other two, how we'd feel about it. You know what I mean? Like but like Winona Ryder was supposed to be in it, not Sofia Coppola, right? So I mean, there was definitely things that happened that altered what that movie might have been or could have been, right? And so who knows?
At least
that's the one with George Hamilton, right? Where they couldn't get the other, they couldn't get Duvall to come back, so they got George Hamilton.
Oh God, such a great replacement.
Yes.
But then you got like, hey, at least it gave us Sofia Coppola as a director. She was like, I'm not into this acting thing. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, she's an amazing director. And Godfather 3, if I remember, it does have the one line they try to get. What is it? I try to get out, they keep pulling me back in. Right? That's from Godfather 3, right? And that's one of, isn't it? In that 3? Yeah. So that they gave us that. That's a great line. But and they keep pulling me back. And I'm doing it. And that was, as you can tell from the crickets earlier, I'm not an impressionist, but but that line that's a great line. That one scene is great. So at least we got that. It's like, at least we got that.
Hey,
you get one good scene.
I'm all for Pacino, especially, Heat or things like that. Like, I'll watch Pacino all day long. I don't even his cheesy stuff. His acting back in the day, it worked. And it made the movie that much better, like Scent of a Woman or Heat or Dog Day Afternoon, or his acting is so outlandish and outrageous, and the movie didn't work around him that it's just like he became a character. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Pacino is great. I loved him in Hunters too on Amazon.
Great show. Yeah, he was. That show is fantastic. I can't say enough nice things about it, but. Yeah, I mean, this has been great, Jeff. Thank you so much for being on the show. I've had such a great time talking to you.
Yeah, this is fun. We'll come back. I'll come back one day. We'll just talk movies, though.
I'm all for that. On this channel, I have 11 shows, and we do all different things. So whatever you're interested in, we go for it.
Perfect.
But thank you again. Is there anything you want to promote before we go?
I'd love for you all to check out my podcast, The Jeff Dwoskin Show. You can get to it from, there we go. JeffDwoskinshow.com, or you can go to jeffisfunny.com. That'll both get you to some version. And then from there, you can go to Apple or Amazon Music, wherever you like. I don't want to drive you crazy like we talked about earlier, but wherever you like, subscribe, Scene Snobs also do the same thing for them. If you haven't, give us 5-star reviews, leave us comments. It helps all of our podcasts rise to the top. none of us are Kardashians. We need the help. We need the help, folks. So, but yeah, just check out my website. I appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Dwoskin Show or at Big Macher. I'm sure though you can't spell that. BIGMACHER. That's my personal Twitter. And yeah, say hi. So
and all of that is going to be in the description below. So make sure you guys are following, are subscribing, everything that we beg you to do on the show all the time. So for both of us, please. But again, thank you to my guest, Jeff. I really appreciate it. You have a great show. Everybody should check it out. It's so funny. I wish I was that funny, but I'm just pretty much straightforward. So it works out for me. I surround myself around funny people.
we all do what we were brought here to do. We're all good.
But thank you so much again, and everybody, make sure you check this. Make sure you like and make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and check out Jeff's show and follow him on Twitter. So
cool. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you.
Take care.
Hello, internet fans. Do you want to learn about horror movies that you never knew existed? Do you miss the video store but not the late fees? Then join us at 3B Video, where we talk about stuff like this, and this, and this. If you'll excuse me, I've got some videotapes to return. You like Huey Lewis in the news?